Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and for the first time this season, welcome to the preview show, the series where, yes, we do what it says in the tin, we preview the game ahead of us this weekend. Tomorrow, Celtic head to Dingwall to take on Ross County, and what will be a difficult game. We'll talk all about it, but it's nice to be back to these shorter, sort of concise previews. Of course, last week we used the podcast to preview the Aberdeen game in great depth, but today it's just me and you and a camera in between us. So let's get into it. Let's talk about that game tomorrow and all the news leading into it. Before we go any further with the video, please make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. The support this week has been magic. I appreciate you all. We've been flying up in the likes and subscribes this week, so keep it up. Big red button and a wee thumb beside it. It would be much appreciated on that road to 40,000 subscribers. But we've got a game to preview, so let's not waste any more time. I've got a bit of, I think the cold's got to me. Yes, the cold in the start of August, I know. So if you excuse my croaky voice and if I cough or anything, then I'll try and cut it out. But apologies straight away. Hopefully it's away by tomorrow. We've got our first away trip of the season. A big away trip, of course. It's the one that kind of sets the tone for the away form. And hopefully we start off really well. I'm looking forward to watching it, you know, despite the... Well, listen. Well, let's talk about one thing straight away. This Sky Sports broadcast package, fantastic, isn't it? The fact that there's no way to legally watch the game tomorrow, it's an absolute joke. The biggest team in the country, the champions of the country. And in no way is it possible to watch the game legally. God bless the IPTVs of the world that I'm sure we'll all be using tomorrow, or if you're getting yourself down to a pub or whatever. But I'm very jealous of the away fans who'll be up there. A fantastic trip away up to the Highlands. Hopefully no one runs into any bother with the police, because of course they're cracking down on Celtic fans sneaking into the home end, aren't they? You'd think that the police and everything else would have a lot more to do with their time to help the society we live in. But no, as long as those pesky Celtic fans aren't sneaking into Victoria Park, then, you know, we can live in a well-structured Scotland. You know, that's what matters most. Right, I'm not going to rant, so we better move on. As I said, a difficult trip, and we'll talk about our form at Dingwall last season as we go into the video. The preview show, still the same format as last year. We'll have a look in the opposition, we'll have our team predictions, our score predictions, and everything else in between. But a difficult trip nonetheless, but it's exciting. I know we had our trips to Europe, and we got to see us play away from home in some capacity in those in the pre-season friendlies, but this is the first sort of test this season in terms of travelling away, and of course it's a back-to-back header for away games. We've got Ross County this weekend and Kilmarnock next weekend, so it's very important that we start off strong and we get a good result up at Dingwall to try and take to Rugby Park next week, because you don't want to come back to Celtic Park a couple of weeks time knowing that you've dropped points or anything. And listen, Ross County, really good season last year, tough opposition to beat, so by no means will it be easy. But Celtic have got all the tools to go up there, control the game and do their bit, and we'll talk about that when it comes to previewing the opposition. In terms of Celtic news heading into this game, well, there's a couple of things we should probably talk about. So a couple of big stories broke today at the press conference. Ange Postecoglou confirmed that Carl Starfelt, yes, he will be back tomorrow in some capacity for the game against Ross County. Now, you'll see in my team predictions later on that I've not got him in the starting 11. I don't think he'll start the game for Celtic, but it'd be very nice to see him return onto the pitch at some point throughout the game. Listen, if he's done enough in training to show Ange Postecoglou and to show the coaches that he's ready to start tomorrow, by all means, get him into the team. But Stephen Welsh played very well last week against Aberdeen, so, you know, there's a test there. There's competition at this moment in time, and of course, you don't want to rush him back after quite a nasty injury. You know, he's been out for a few months. He's been sidelined since the first international break of the summer. So it's not going to be easy just to come right back in and get the swing of it for 90 minutes. So I don't imagine he'll start the game tomorrow. But that was a good bit of news that came from the press conference. However, you know, with the good, there's always some bad. Ange also confirmed that REO HATATE will not be involved against Ross County tomorrow. I think it follows on from the knocks that he took last week against Aberdeen. Some pretty nasty knocks to the back, I think it was, in that opening game of the season. So he will not be involved in the matchday squad to any capacity, which means there'll be a shuffle up in the midfield three that start the game. A real shame, because I think REO HATATE right now, and I don't imagine it's anything serious. Let's clarify one thing. I don't think this is an injury that will keep him out for an extended period of time. I think it's just a precautionary one for this weekend. Luckily, Celtic are in that position. We talk about it all the time. Celtic are in such a great position when it comes to midfield depth, the amount of quality we've got in the middle of the park. When you get a niggle like this and you get a kind of smaller injury, when Hatate has to miss a game, you've got Turnbull to step up, or you've got other players, you've got Aaron Moy in now, you've got a real good depth of central midfielders who can move around. But, you know, we have got Ideguchi out, we've now got Hatate out. We need to hope it doesn't build, because we're, you know, this away from being scarce again, aren't we? But we'll have it's a good opportunity for David Turnbull, a really good opportunity for him to step into the starting 11 and show how good he is, because he's been brilliant since, I think, coming back into the Celtic team at the end of last season, and even when he's been on the pitch in the pre-season and last week, he's looked brilliant to me. So he's, you know, for every good reason, he deserves a place in the starting 11, but we've just got that much quality that it makes it difficult to kind of nail your place in the middle of the park in this team. But it's a shame for Hatate, because he started the season so well. He looked like a new player. We all said that in pre-season. I think that was one of the strongest things that was highlighted was the fact that REO HATATE looked just like a new signing. He looked refreshed. He looked like he had a new lease of life after looking really tired towards the end of last season. So then after one competitive game to be on the sidelines is really frustrating. But listen, if it's a small injury, if it's a small amount of time, let's do our best to look at the positives. And the positives of that is David Turnbull's got a lot to offer us tomorrow. And in general, for the team in the game tomorrow, Celtic, you know, it's a case of doing what we do best. It's controlling the game, playing attacking football, creating as many chances as possible. I'm hoping that we aren't wasteful tomorrow. I would like the job to be done early. I would like us to get as many goals in the first half as possible. It's the same story with all these preview shows. Celtic should be dominating every team in this league. You know, well, obviously tighter when you get to the top, Hearts, Rangers, etc. But Ross County, no disrespect to them, because they had a great season last year, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. But Celtic should be going up there, and we should be controlling the game. The gap in quality is beyond significant. So I'm hoping that we do get a grip of it. We play it out from the back. We do our thing. We're calm in possession. And I'm hoping that last week, you know, those couple of chances, the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head, the Giacomakis miss in the second half, the Kyogo miss in the first half. I'm hoping those are the sort of chances that we now begin to convert. We've got it out of our system in the opening game of the season, so when we have open goals to shoot into, or really good chances in the second game, we're now ready to take them. It's also good now tomorrow to assess the team further as we head into a very difficult period of the season. It's the opening period of the season, but every period of the season is difficult. But, you know, we've got a really tough month. You know, we've got a derby coming basically right at the end of it. We've got to get as many points on the board till then, so that our confidence is high, our momentum is high. So it's a good chance for this being the first away game to assess who's got the minerals and who's not. But we're in a really good position right now. There's not much to worry about in that front. But one thing is really nice for the players, at least, maybe not so much us as viewers, because we want as much Celtic as possible. But one thing that's really nice for them must be these week-long breaks. The fact that this is the first time we've headed into a Premiership season since fucking 19 canteen, to be honest, that we've been able to, you know, not have European qualifiers, not have a barrage of games, you know, one game on a Saturday, one game on a Saturday, one game on a Sunday, one game, you know, that's the kind of schedule we're on right now. It must feel great for the players. Right then, the opposition, it's that part of the show. Let's preview Ross County, our opponents for tomorrow. They had a really good start to the season domestically in the Betfred Cup. Their form right now, let's have a look at it. They beat Buckie Thistle, Dunfermline, Alloa Athletic, and East Fife as well to win 4 out of 4 in their group stage of, I keep saying it's the Betfred Cup, my apologies, the Premier spot. I'm never going to go, I'll be 90 years old and I'll still be calling it the Betfred Cup. I'm telling you that right now. I should just stick to the League Cup, because that's what it is. But a really good League Cup group stage that took them into their first game of the season last week against Hearts, which was also a very tough game. A trip to Tynecastle, which was bouncing last week. They had a stadium display out and everything. Was always going to be difficult for Ross County, but listen, they put up a good fight, and a lot of people were thinking they were a little bit hard done by losing all 3 points. They went down 2-0 in the game, fair enough. Jordan White, I believe, came on to pull a goal back for Ross County, but really unlucky maybe not to walk away with something. And despite the fact that they have lost their key man in Regan Charles Cook, they've still got a team, a squad and a manager who are very capable of doing damage this season against anyone, and that includes Celtic. You know, for as much as I mentioned that gap in quality, you know, on their day, Ross County can certainly pull the wool over anyone's eyes. 6th place last season, much to the surprise of everyone in Scotland. There is no reason this year why they can't do it, and despite losing on the opening game of the season, I think that they showed they've still got the fight in them to go far this season under Malky Mackay. A few new players through the door at Ross County after, of course, departures of the likes of Regan Charles Cook, so it'll be interesting to sit there and kind of analyse our our opponents for the other games that we'll play them in season. You're talking 2, potentially 3 other games that will take them on, and still got the likes of Ross Callaghan in there, who last year was really good for them. It'll be interesting to see where the goals come from in this side without Charles Cook. So yeah, a tough side. I'm looking at it just now, their possible starting 11 for tomorrow. You know, it is a team that can, you know, they can probably rough us up a wee bit. They can probably put the fear in us if given the opportunity. But as I said, the Celtic control the game, play our own football, then there shouldn't be too much to worry about. Our form against Ross County last season then was pretty good, unbeaten, and won every single game. The last game we played against them was in the split with a 2-0 win at Dingwall, and a pretty convincing win for the Celts. The other games were a 3-0 and a 4-0 win at Celtic Park. Absolute doings, you could say. And obviously the big one, the one that we all remember, it stands out amongst them all, the Anthony Ralston last minute winner back before Christmas, which was significant in our charge for the title. That was a game that showed that Ross County at Dingwall can push us right to the very end, and they can hold us on. Granted, that day, I remember going to Dingwall well, I didn't personally go, but I remember Celtic going to Dingwall that day and thinking to myself, we could be in bother, because if you remember, that was at the period of time where players were injured and the squad was thin, and we were relying on guys like Owen Moffat coming off the bench. You know, that was a really difficult time. And no disrespect to Owen Moffat, by the way, because that sounded cheeky there. But now we're in a much better place, going up to Dingwall with transfers being made, with signings being made. We have players to turn to in these tight situations and games who are experienced, who score goals. So we're a much better side than what we were that time we went to Dingwall. And I think we showed that in the 2-0 win during the split. So my starting 11 prediction then, yes, let's get into that, because I think we've rallied on a little bit here. How long have we been talking? Christ, 13 minutes. This is a long preview show, basically as a podcast at this point. My starting 11 is identical to last week. Of course, the big changes come in the middle of the park with no Hatate. I think David Turnbull will, like for like, be his replacement there. Just come right in, do the same role, and hopefully we'll chip into some goals. Apart from that, I think it's going to be the exact same team that played last week. So to keep it simple for you, that's Joe Hart, Josip Juranovic, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Stephen Welsh, Greg Taylor. Midfield of Cal Mack, Matt O'Reilly and David Turnbull taking Hatate's place. And I think the front three will remain the same of Jota, Kyogo and Maida. It is only the second game, so it's hard to judge what the rotation's going to be like with the front three. When will Giakoumakis start to play games? When will Yelabada start to play games? It could be tomorrow. I think there's every possibility that those two players could be two that start. But I'm just going to stick with the front three that started last week for now. Because I think, I think that could be the three. That's my reason behind it. And finally, the last thing you're all here for, my score prediction for tomorrow. I'm going to go for Celtic 2, Ross County 0. I was thinking 3, but I don't want to be too cocky. So I'm going to go 2-0 Celtic at Dingwall. I'd be happy with any form of win. Bring the 3 points back and that'll do. But I want to see us play some good football. That would be a lovely bonus too. Anyway, there you go. Let me know your predictions and such in the comments below. Let me know how you think we'll fare against Ross County. And we'll be back after the game tomorrow for some post-match content. And then, of course, throughout the week before I go on my holidays. Yes, I'm not going to be here for Kelly. I'll be reporting to you from a balcony in Mallorca. I'm sure you look forward to that. Right, like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time.